In this video, I will be explaining exactly how to not suck at spray control. Spray control is one of the subtle skills in Valorant that go a long way in helping you improve as a player. Being able to consistently and reliably get solid sprays at any range means that you'll be a consistent threat for any game that you play, and you'll be able to be relevant no matter the situation. Not every situation will call for you to need to spray, but spraying is something that greatly increases your capability in situations where it can be used. Before I get into things, just a quick reminder that if you enjoyed the video, to get subscribed. It's free and you can always unsub again if you'd like, and only 4% of you guys are currently subbed, so getting that number up will help me a ton. On to the video. So tactical shooters like CSGO and now Valorant feature unique spray patterns for each of their guns that have much harsher learning curves than games than you might be used to. Each gun will have a general direction and back and forth horizontal motion as you spray down its mag, which can reset after you stop shooting for a second or two. Other games may also feature a form of recoil, but most of the time they will have much simpler requirements like just pulling straight down. Valorant's recoil patterns will vary from how long to spray, to which gun you're using, to even which spray mode you're using as well. Other guns in the game like pistols or shotguns will also treat recoil differently than normal and don't have spray patterns. These guns will just lose accuracy the more you shoot them, and I would consider them closer to spray puddles more than anything. Therefore, this guide would only apply to the Frenzy, the SMGs, and all the rifles of the game. Before we get to how to master spray control, we want to first look at how we can create these recoil patterns. It's going to vary from gun to gun, but spray control in this game generally ramps up as you go through your magazine, and the amount of recoil increases incrementally the deeper into your spray that you are. Every bullet that is shot will shoot up vertically slightly, doubling the vertical distance from the last shot that was fired up to a maximum height. This is what creates that sort of ramping vertical spray pattern that is created within the game. Horizontally, we have a bit of a different story, however. Counter-Strike was known to have had issues in its game because of its spray patterns being a little bit too accurate and replicatable, and there were cases of pro players legitimately being sprayed down from across the map. I don't think Riot wanted this to be the case for Valorant, so for this they instead decided to implement some level of RNG into the game for when you need to spray. CSGO veterans would think that this would be absolutely game-breaking for many players, but I'd argue that it's actually more balanced, to put it this way. This draws the attention away from being able to out-aim your opponent and more on having strong positioning and game sense, which Valorant's ability system complements very well. In practical terms for you guys, this means that every time that you spray a gun down, there will be a general pattern that the gun follows every time, and there will be a level of inaccuracy involved to prevent the cross-map spraying issue that I was talking about for Valorant. This won't change the way you control your spray in the game that much, but rather changes the mindset and conditions in the game in which you would start to spray. The way to express mastering spray control in Valorant is by taking the vertical and horizontal recoil that the game applies to each of your guns and attempting to offset it in the best way that you can. Knowing that there are general reproducible patterns for each gun in the game allows you as a player to replicate those patterns and basically mirror them, so that the end result of your spray is a nice controlled beam of shots, allowing you to reliably beam down your enemies. The idea here is to focus on the pattern of the recoil and the distance that your gun's barrel travels and strays away relative to where shots are landing, and to adjust your cursor for that. I'll go over how each gun utilizes its spray patterns, but I also want to quickly cover spraying in ADS mode. It's super inconsistent from gun to gun because every gun in Valorant changes its firing mode when scoped in, but the same rules will generally apply. When you spray unscoped in Valorant, you may notice that your shots will literally be off your cursor. This is in fact intentional to the game and is part of the skill in recoil control, so it's best to memorize the general center of your screen like your legitimate monitor so that you can actually line up your crosshair to be below that area. For me, I've noticed that once you get enough reps in, you will notice exactly how far down on your monitor that you'll need to pull down on, and then you'll be able to recognize at what spot that you need to keep your recoil towards. However, when in ADS mode, you don't really have to worry about any of this because recoil is treated differently. When scoped in, any recoil that occurs will always follow your crosshair no matter how steep it is. While this usually will feature a trade-off in movement speed and sometimes DPS, there are situations where it's definitely worth it. The most common example of this would be setting up shop with a machine gun in a corner and mowing down anyone who comes. Alright, so now you know how spray control is done, but it's fairly likely that you'll still have trouble executing it in your actual games, so you'll need to spend good time practicing it. I could just tell you to play more Vals so that you can just get better at it, but I think learning how to learn is arguably more important than just spamming the games. So there's a couple of good things that you can do in order to better hone your spray control. In my opinion, the shooting range is going to be plenty enough for you to get started on improving your sprays. You can memorize the pattern of each gun by simply spraying at a wall and viewing where the bullets go, and then try to pull your gun in the opposite direction in order to offset it. Over time, you'll be able to use your muscle memory to get clean sprays naturally. One quick note as well, you don't need to master spraying an entire 25 bullet mag of the Vandal or anything like that, because that's not really practical. For guns like the Phantom or Vandal, and then for a majority of the guns in the game, the spray is easiest for the first 10-inch bullets, or like 30% of the mag, because it's basically straight down. Mastering the vertical pull down required for this will be all you need for like 90% of situations, so I'd focus on this the most. Then from there, if you really feel that you need to master the entire spray, then you could probably push it to 15, then even 20 bullets if you really need to. Being able to spray that many bullets is definitely useful if you're legitimately trying to spray down an entire country with one mag, but you could also just stop firing for a second to reset your recoil and start over instead. It's typically more consistent due to the inaccuracy of bullets in the game. I'll be leaving the recoil pattern up for each gun in the game that you'll need it for, so I'd recommend going through each of these and just taking a screenshot if you need to and pausing the video where you need. The sprays will be for the Frenzy, Stinger, Spectre, Bulldog, Phantom, Vandal, Ares, and Odin in that order. Also keep note of the different ADS modes for all of these guns except for the Frenzy, which just doesn't have an ADS mode. Spraying in ADS mode is a lot easier with generally the same pattern, but as long as you sync your crosshair with your target, you'll be fine. Just keep in mind that the longer you spray in ADS mode, the more inaccurate your shots will be, so you can't treat the game like COD and just run around and run a gun everywhere. Anyways, on to each of the spray patterns. Okay, so now let's say you've been getting some reps in on spray control and you feel pretty confident about it now, but when it comes to playing in game, you still end up losing aim battles somehow. How could this be the case? This is most likely because that you are so fresh off of your training, your spray control, that you're going to be over-reliant on it in your games. The time to kill in Valorant is very short, and although spraying gives you more opportunities to get good kills, what will equally increase your chances to get kills will just be strong crosshair placement and good knowledge of where to aim relative to where your opponents are going. There's so many situations in the game where you will just instantly kill the enemy if you hit a single headshot, so why spray if you could just get an easy tap instead? This is the kind of situations that is produced when you think too much about spraying. Providing the right balance between spraying at the right time and then using other shooting techniques like bursting or tapping will help you have the right technique available for every situation. Spraying is a very important concept to mastering your skills in Valorant because good mastery of this skill will allow you to unlock the highest DPS available in many of your guns, meaning that you'll be able to win more duels, take on engagements with multiple opponents, and be more confident in your play. I hope you'll take what you learned today to spray down more of your opponents in the future.